This is Pinky, and you're listening to Gugu's story on Illuminate, Hands at Work in Africa's Advent series on the Meanwhile in Africa podcast channel. Ligogota Mountain stands tall and proud, fixing its gaze in all directions. If you drive an hour away from it, its presence lurks still in the rearview mirror. It's a beacon for airplanes as they fly to Kruger National Park, which hosts nearly 1 million visitors each year who are able to afford such an adventure. They all come hoping to see elephants, lions, and rhinos. Many visitors to Kruger will drive under the mountain's watchful guard and ride through the community of Masoi before arriving at the park. Just like the mountain, you can't not notice Masoi. It's the community where Hands at Work was birthed 20 years ago. And like so many other South African communities, Masoi was devastated by the years of apartheid and HIV and AIDS. Unsupervised children and teenagers crowd the road, and older men sitting along the side drinking beer. Many bus taxis are sounding their horns, fighting for the attention of would-be passengers. The speed bumps, unlike the taxis, are much more stealthy. Fragile-looking structures made of corrugated tin sheets can be identified by hand-painted signage. One of them has the words "chicken dust" spray-painted above the window. Then, just opposite the T intersection that leads to Kruger Park is an area called Mahushu, where we find Masoi home-based care. Gugu is one of the Hands at Work leaders, and she knows the vulnerability of girls living in the shadow of Ligogota Mountain. Her childhood home was large in comparison to the surrounding houses.
I grew up there in Masoi community. When I was young, I was staying at home with both my parents. And after that, both of them passed away. It was me and my 5 siblings.
Gugu's older sister was left with the insurmountable challenge of caring of her siblings as well as a baby of her own. While relatives do live in the community, they don't come to help. Her sister went to work in the farms, and Gugu,
I was helping as a mother.
When not in school, she was cooking, cleaning, and making sure that her siblings were bathed, clothed, and fed. Her sister's meager income was not enough to support the family. Jabulile is one of the local volunteer care workers of Masoi home-based care. She's driven by the hope and love that is at the center of her faith in God.
Jabulile was attending church with my neighbor, so after my parents passed away, we keep on going to that neighbor to ask for food. She don't have much. So Jabulile came to visit that lady and she saw the situation. Then he came to our house and started asking us some questions.
When Jabulile came to visit at the neighbor's house, she noticed Gugu and came to visit their home.
Then we explained everything to her. She also invited us to attend her church.
The church was bringing girls together to teach them and to help them persevere in life, to be resilient.
I ended up loving the services that they are doing on Wednesday because it was teaching me the things that I had no one at home to teach me. And they were wanted to know more about us. People from that church, they are good people, they have good heart, they understand our situations. Then we attending the church and she keep on visiting us with other care workers. Then it is when they invite us to join Masoi.
They were nervous on that first day going to Masoi home-based care. But when they saw that Jabulile was there at the care point, their fears quickly faded. At home, there was no lock on the worn-out door, and from inside the house, gaps in the walls exposed themselves, lacking any real resistance. Gugu and her siblings lived in fear.
We're afraid because we're in Masoi, we know Masoi with crime. Yeah, we're afraid.
Each Each night, they would push heavy buckets of water and a table against the door to secure the house.
For food, we were suffering. That is why most of the time when we're having not food, we had to go to the care worker and ask him for food, because we end up trusting him. They were not feeding at the care point like our care point now, but they were giving food parcel every month. So they were giving us that food parcel. That was such like helping a lot.
Jabulile was not just a single candle burning bright in the shadow of the mountain. She was on a mission to light other candles, that through the life of those she touched, she might bring light to all who lived in Masoi. With Jabulile's love as a testament to Gugu, she had the strength and courage to finish high school and go on to study youth and development in university.
I feel like God answering our prayer as a family. From Masoi, what I receive is more like parents. I don't have biological parents, but I see that I had parents in Masoi because they were there for us.
Gugu dedicated herself to continue the mission, spreading her light and bringing life through hands at work and the love of Christ. She works with the HandsatWorkinAfrica Hands at Work office, supporting care workers and visiting the homes of vulnerable children.
Yeah, it's difficult knowing that other people, they say, we don't have food. I said, yeah, really, I know, I understand. What we're doing for our vulnerable children or orphan children, it's important. It may look little, but it's important. It changes life. It's giving hope. I'm using my story most of the time when I'm talking with the youth. Yeah, to understand that I was also vulnerable, same as you, and I was going to the care point, same as you.
Psalm 121, verse 1 to 3 says, I lift my eyes up to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot sleep. He who watches over you will not slumber. Pray for girls and women like Gugu, that they will have a hope for the future. May God call men and women to be a part of caring for the most vulnerable, making them a light to all who meet them, just like He did with Gugu.
Vulnerability makes people feel like even God is not around. But the more people come to you, it's the more you feel like, yeah, God is busy sending people to me so that I can be strong on the situation that I am.
Thank you for listening to Gugu's story. You've been listening to Illuminate on the Meanwhile in Africa podcast channel. Next Sunday is the last in our series on the very real vulnerability of the African girl. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please do on Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts. In the new year, we'll continue with the short stories about what God is busy doing on the ground in Africa. If you'd like to support financially, please visit www.handsatwork.org/give.